All right, everyone, welcome back to part two of the conversation with Old Man Logan here, talking about Datacron. So now, I know it seems like we covered a lot, but we really barely scratched the surface. We gave you some overarching ideas, and now it's time to get into the nitty gritty here. So, Old Man, won't you take us in here, kind of, reintroduce yourself in case anybody missed part one, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty with Datacrons.
Fucking sweet, ready to go. So, old man Logan here. Every Thursday, 8:30, we do Scoundrels in a Cantina. It's a very unconventional kind of SWGOH show where we just kind of shoot the shit and hang out. We talk about some shit in the game, but we generally just hang out and rant. That's what we do. Um, I would say out of the three of us, the one yeah, the the one co-host Bob is free to play. Avant does spend. I am the whale. So yeah, that is it. So the show kind of brings a good element of every aspect of the game. So it's good shit.
And you guys get some really good, like, guests on there, too. Like, you guys bring on some really good
We do.
people in there.
We've gotten some good guests on there. Absolutely.
So let's kind of get in here with the nitty gritty for Datacrons. And, for those of you who I forgot to kind of mention this part one, or maybe I said it and it wasn't the most clear, like, I am almost punting the ball to Logan when it comes to Datacrons. Because while I know some stuff, it'd be like asking me what outer space is like compared to asking, like, Neil Tyson DeGrasse. Like, that's what I'm average Joe, and then we've got Mr. PhD, I guess, over here, who can really help us out with Datacron. So, oh man, let's start with the current meta and kind of even going back into the blue set a little bit. What were the level threes you were looking for here? How did you determine that?
The level threes in this set, I'm not gonna lie. Dark Side and this meta, it's players should be familiar with this. The 25% Terminator for Dark Side out of the gate, that is outstanding. You want as many of those as humanly possible. Light Side, 15 and 15 protection and health, absolutely. So for the level threes, you want those. Those are the ones I've been working on in this set. As for the level sixes, that's going to depend on your roster, really. That's
If
that's
you
kind of a player choice. Where is my roster at? What do I want? Again, secondaries. You know how I do Datacrons is I try to go from level 1 to level 9 immediately, and then depending on if I got to level 3 or level 6 I wanted, re-roll if needed, and then whatever's left over, work on the secondaries. That's it.
so a good rule of thumb for any kind of Datacron would be that stats are kind of the last thing that you should be re-rolling.
In my opinion, yes. Some people may disagree, but I think if you want a viable Datacron, the level 3 and the level 6 needs to be able to work for you. Now, if you have the ability to work on the secondaries, outstanding. Do your thing. But
Yep.
it's really the 3 and the 6 that, like, here's my rule of thumb. If you start rolling a Datacron, let's say one is potency, second is tenacity, level 3 is what you want. Okay, cool, live with that. Level 4, some bullshit armor penetration, didn't want it. Level 5, more potency, didn't want it. But you got the level 6 you wanted. So then you roll 7 and 8. Got, okay, I can work with them. Got the level 9. It doesn't matter the 9 you got. If you're happy with the 3 and the 6, work on the secondaries from there.
Okay, that's a good. Especially, I'm thinking too, with some of these level sixes, like we've got rebels right now, and like rebels and imperial troopers, where those two, unaligned force users, those factions are so big that even if you don't have the characters at the required relic level, or that maybe you're going to build a Saw Gerrera team, sure, you're not going to get a level 9 on that team unless you throw Lando in there. But you're going to get the level 6 benefit where the stats are more beneficial to you than anything else. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, 100%. 100%. It's if you get the level 3 and the level 6 you want, the secondaries you can reroll. Now, if you don't get the level 3 and 6 you want, you may have to tweak it. You may have to reroll. Okay, I didn't get the 25% Terminator for Dark Side that I wanted, or I didn't get the 15 and 15 for Light Side that I wanted. You re-roll it, you get it. Then you look at the level 6. Okay, that's. I didn't necessarily want Rebels. I wanted unaligned force use. So I re-roll that. You get unaligned force users. That technically, after you've re-rolled 3 and 6, that's going to give you one more re-roll to roll a secondary that you want. And then the Datacron becomes more expensive to re-roll.
Yeah.
So really it's the initial pull going down the line of where you judge where am I going to spend my resources.
And then,
That's really what Datacrons is all about. Because CG has given you so many different combinations of different roles, different level 3s, different level 6s. In my opinion, what everybody needs to do, the biggest thing about Datacrons is data cache. You need to have the utmost abundance in data cache. The more cache you have, the more shit you can unlock. The more shit you can unlock, the more shit you can tweak. So every reset, and I do it 3 times a day. Every reset, you buy data cache every day, 3 times a day. You want to be serious about Datacrons, you make sure you're refreshing your data cache 3 times a day.
see, it's funny. It's funny you say that because that was something I was doing for the longest time when I was building crons. Was that I would go and refresh that because I recognized like that was something I'd run out of a lot. I actually, this is bad, but I've stopped that because they added the GL tokens for Shard Shop currency, and so I've just been trying to bank as much Shard Shop currency as I can to for when I get Ahsoka. Um, but that is a really good point. That data cache is something that I see come up often because one aspect with Datacrons that I think has always kind of driven me away from them. If I had to be like, oh, if there's one thing that pisses me off the most, it's that, and you can correct me if I'm completely wrong on this, but it's like you lose about 65-70% of the resources that you dump into a Datacron. That when it kind of dismantles, like when your blue set dismantles, that you've got your Balin and your Dengar Crons, when all of those sunset on February 19th, you're going to get roughly 30% of the resources back that you spent on them.
Oh no,
Return to you.
100%. You're not getting the return of your investment. Absolutely not. That is not even a question.
And that's what I think drives me away, simply because I try to look at that long term value. But the other thing I've noticed is with the players in your position where you are kind of spending on those crons, that 30% is such a larger piece that you're able to get more of them faster because of all, over the course of time, you've built up this stockpile of, cash and resources that has continued to, sure, it gets eaten away, but you keep putting more into it and more into it, and you're getting larger and larger. Is that something you've kind of seen?
But I also feel like it's like, especially in this set, it's so easy because this conquest for Dark Ray has been one of the easiest fucking conquests in the history of conquest.
Oh, it's been a joke.
This conquest has been an absolute joke. Like, um, somebody that is a member of the Scoundrels Discord, and he's actually in my guild, Jar Jar McGoats. He completed the shit in 2 days. Now, granted, he probably spent a ridiculous amount of crystals and everything to do it, but he did it in 2 days, and he sent a picture. Like there was actual proof he did it. But this conquest in particular, that's the other thing that I feel, people that don't like Datacrons, you need to look at conquest. If conquest is difficult, okay, your your Datacron farm is going to suffer. If conquest is easy, like this one that we're in right now, dude, I feel like there is no excuse for you
Oh,
to
yeah.
not have some sort of Datacron viability.
It and the other thing too that I've even noticed with my account is as I've gotten further in the game, I've progressed my account more. As conquest gets easier because you fleshed out a roster and you're able to make the investment decisions, you end up getting more datacrons because you can, like, I used to have to farm some of those feats of, hey, survive with Great Mothers and Morgan. You just got to go pick somebody that doesn't have an AoE. You had to get kind of picky with what nodes. Now I'm just going to whatever bonus node it is and I can farm it there. And
Yeah.
that's been a big part of, I think, the push for some people trying to understand datacrons is realizing that their conquest is ending a lot sooner than normal.
Well, that's the one thing I get it. For those that are free to play or struggle to spend, I get it. Datacrons suck. It's one of those things where because I can emphasize I'm sorry. I have empathy for those that are free to play. They get resources for a Datacron, they roll it, and they get shit. But in a way, it's better than nothing. I understand what CG is doing with Datacrons, like, and I'm not being a CG apologist. I I understand that they're trying to make the meta fresh. They're trying to change it. They're and again, and I talked about this with Engard just the other night. It's a spending strategy. Different Datacron sets is a different kind of revenue because players are going to look at this and go, dude, that tune's going to be badass for the next 4 months. Like, dude, I put my fucking Magna Trooper to 8 because Arnold put out a video that it was soloing shit.
Yep.
And I put my Magna Trooper to Relic 8 and readjusted his mods thinking, dude, I want this in my roster for GAC.
And the advantage that that gives you for not just GAC but even the territory wars is huge. To
Yeah.
you think for, however many months you've got a character that can basically do whatever he wants to do on the board.
Yeah.
And so with, like, as you're getting into the more, nitty gritty here, you mentioned that, we talked about that 15-15. Is that, in your opinion, the best level 3, whether it's light side or dark side? Is that probably the one that you would want to invest in most?
No, for light side, 15-15, without a doubt, across the board. This Datacron set for level 3. I'm looking for as many dark side, 25% turn meter out of the gate, and light side, 15 and 15. Because yeah, we're in the midst of 3v3, but wait till we get to 5v5.
Yeah.
And it's 15 and 15, and you have decent secondaries on a Gungan team. Like, yeah. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I will be right back.
So, folks, while he's there, one thing that you want to just be thinking about as you're, building datacrons is understanding that, like, sometimes there's certain stats that you want to pay attention to, and other times there's stats where it's just not worth it. And so, in this particular set right now that we've got, where you have, armor pen and resistance pen, and offense and critical damage, but you've also got this potency, tenacity, and critical chance. Sometimes with some of those stats, it's better to just kind of wait and see how the Datacron falls. Like, I got really lucky. I think it was one of these. I'm trying to think which one it was. I got lucky with one of these where I got a ton of armor pen. And, yeah, on this, like, Fulcrum Cron, I got a ton of armor pen. Like, I'm loving life that I got armor pen here. But I didn't try for that. It just kind of happened. Whereas you look at, maybe the Sabine Cron, and I've got, like, all resistance pen. So sometimes it's just better to kind of let the stats come to their own, right? And, maybe you get a situation. I have another one here for Star Killer where it's just critical damage, and then I've got crit chance here, but more critical damage. Like, we got a good bit of critical damage there. I love that Datacron. But you move over to, say, Dengar, and we're rocking, like, straight tenacity. So, at times, you've got to know when to make that leap to getting the stats right. And other times, you've got to know when it's more important to have that level 6 and level 9 and even the level 3s. And that's kind of what Logan was saying, where with this set we have right now, that 15% max health and protection, that's huge. And especially in 5v5 where you've got more allies, you're getting an extra 30% max health and protection. And then again with that 25% turn meter, again, just think of how important that can be for an Imperial Trooper team trying to get out ahead of people. So those right there, that's something that's really, really important. And even understanding, as, he kind of said this, where some sets are very heavily favored towards the light side versus the dark side. It's an even split. You go back to this Datacron set, and you had the factions of Unaligned Force users, Old Republic mercenaries. You have your light side, dark side alignments, all the different characters. A set like this, it's, all right, probably a little bit more dark side focused because of that Unaligned Force user mercenary faction. But you come down here to this Wayward Pathfinder, or Wayward Wayfinder, and while there's some really good stuff, that 15-15 for light side is just kind of running the show. So that is a really big part of these Datacrons, is just recognizing when a set is more structured towards the light side or dark side, and then you can assess where you want to be focusing your resources. So now that Logan's back, I can shut up.
Hold on. Like, I've got a really good, what do we got here? What's a good light side cron I have? Like, for instance, this one was for Han, Raid Han.
Yep.
Level 1, I had close to 50% armor pen. Level 2, I had offense. Level 3, 15 and 15. That's what I wanted. Level 4, I had offense. Level 5, I had crit chance. Now, at that point, I went, dude, those are good rolls. I was okay with that. Level 6, I went, whenever rebel allies are stunned, gain 50% turn meter and recover 25% health and protection. Now, I liked that one, but I kept it and I went with it. Level 7, I got another 26.63 in crit chance. Level 8 kind of shit on me. I got 27.62 tenacity, but level 8, I got bonus mechanics for Han Solo. Now, for the tenacity roll, I have plenty of material. I'm actually going to re-roll it right now, live in front of you. I'm
Oh,
hoping for either armor pen, offense, or crit chance. Here we go. Oh, god damn. 65.24 more armor pen.
I'm in your Datacrons right now in your account trying to see if it refreshes. I don't know if it will or not. It's still
So
stuck
we're
on
looking at
tenacity.
over 100% armor penetration on that Datacron for Rebels alone. That
That's
is the shit I'm talking about. If you're level 1 through 6, you're acceptable with, you're okay with, leave it. Work on 7 to 9 and then readjust from there. Because here's the other thing, and I know people do this, they get to level 3. Let's say they're like, oh, I want that dark side. You re-roll it, you still have the potential to roll light or dark side.
Yes.
It it increases the percentage of getting what you don't want. If you do, like, let's say for that crime you want dark side, you go dark side. Level 6 is for dark side. Level 9 is a dark side character. You can go back to level 3 and get a better odds chance of the level 3 you want because it's dark side. And I feel like a
Yes.
lot of people forget that.
Yes. Like once you, it's a the that's a I love you brought up that point because that would have completely slipped my mind to mention that like once you get to the level 9, you're locked into the level 6 and you're locked into the level 3. So you can
Yeah.
start re-rolling with that mindset of, hey, I got, I'm going to pull up one of mine. Let's see here. I've got Dark Side. When Dark Side allies are damaged by percent health damage effects, they recover 2% health. I don't want that. But I'm not going to re-roll that until I get my level 6 and level 9 because if I re-roll this right now, I'm going to get 2 other Datacrons, right? I get 2 other potential level 3s. There's 10 to choose from. So I only have like a 20% chance to get the 25% turn meter or 15 and 15.
That's
Like
it.
the odds are completely against me. But if I roll this to level 9, now I've got a much better opportunity to get the stat that I want. Because I can say I want that dark side or light side bonus when you build it. Right?
Like
That's
I
kind of
just rolled a Datacron right now to 3, and the bonus one I got for level 3 is whenever light side allies grant a buff to another ally, that other ally grants protection. Now hold on, I have a shitload of this material. I'm going to re-roll it to give people an example of what I'm talking about. So let's say you don't like level 3, and at level 3, you re-roll it. This is what you're going to get. Boy, ain't that a kick in the fucking head. I just got an option for dark side, start the battle with 25% turn meter, so I'm taking. But
I'm waiting I'm waiting for your
the
thing to
example
update
is if
so I
you
can show
don't
people.
get that, that's that's a re-roll that you've taken away from that cron. Like your goal is you want the level 3 and the 6 to line up with what you want. That way you can work on the secondaries at your leisure.
Yes. Yeah, if you start I found that like if you start re-rolling early, you end up just like pissed off by the time you get to cuz you get to that level 9 and you've rolled the 3 you want, you roll the 6 you want, and then you're stuck with this Datacron with like, I'm going to use my I have an eighth brother Datacron I'm showing. Like, I've got eighth brother here. I wanted this to be Maul, but I spent all my resources trying to reroll the damn 3 and 6 and never really considered, hey, I need to kind of have the Maulcron at level 9.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree.
So let me ask you
I,
this.
I, I
Oh,
don't I don't do it often. I will re-roll I will roll the 3, look at it and go, I mean, if the secondaries are good, let's say I got offense, and then look at 3 and I can get what I want. I would consider re-rolling 3 if I got offense and offense 1 and 2. I would consider it. If I got like tenacity, potency, no, I'm rolling 3 and moving on.
yep.
And it is that's and I know people hate datacrons and I understand it, but you need to understand what datacrons are doing. Like you need to look at what you roll and use your resources for what you can make work. Like you need to roll to 3 and okay, the 2 secondaries are good, the third I didn't like, I could reroll this. Or the 2 secondaries were shit, the third is what I want. I'm gonna see what 4 and 5 have for me before I get to 6.
Yeah.
It's such a crapshoot, and I like that. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking like that.
Now, speaking of crapshoots, I know you've mentioned that you obviously drop a little bit of money on the game. With these
Just roll.
exclusive yeah, with these exclusive Datacrons and going back to that Great Mother Datacron. I think right now the exclusive one was Balin, right? I think that was an exclusive cron. I have yours pulled up where so you guys can see that he's got these stats on Balin that are all in yellow here, where the level 1 is 49% offense, which is just insane. Right? That is an insane amount of offense. Like the exclusive Datacrons, as powerful as they are, how much like I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna say I can't say oh it's worth it to wail on the character for these exclusive crons, but these exclusive crons are something that can completely change the way that you play with that character. Like going back to Great Mothers, where that was basically better than every GL in the game, right? And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
the stats that they're giving you here, like just looking at that set, offense was not an option. So it's not like that was something that, oh, they're just giving you a boosted amount of a stat that is available. Like, he's getting stats with this cron that are not available with the current set. And so, I guess what I was trying to wrap this all up with the, exclusive crons is how do those play a role as someone who is wailing on them like yourself, and then as someone who maybe isn't, how do you need to prepare for stuff like this?
I will I will say as somebody that got Balin and the Great Mothers and got their crons, I looked at them and I went, all right, is there anything here that I want to tweak? Is there a secondary that I'm not fond of that I want to work on? And you know what? Dude, they were perfect. Like they were exactly what I was looking for. Um, I honestly, for Wales, it's good, but honestly, I don't think CG should do that anymore. I don't think they should put out character specific datacrons because it adds it just adds an element of I don't want to say unfairness, but I guess it is unfair, but and which is weird because they do another character tomorrow that has a specific Datacron. I'm gonna buy it and utilize it and fuck everyone else. But I don't think that's good for the game. I don't think like that that Night Sister Cron, dude, that was oppressive.
Yeah,
That was absolutely really like let's talk about that Cron for a second.
oh,
That
absolutely.
Cron, dude, that was rough. If you opened up GAC and you saw that Cron, you went, dude, what the fuck?
Yes.
Like, if I don't beat this, this is going to be a quick GAC and I can go about my day.
And those datacrons to me, I think are exactly what is wrong. Is that like I'm perfectly okay. Hey, you want to give the Great Mothers a specific level 9? I'm all for it. Right? Like
I
that's
think it's
great,
those Datacrons that give Datacrons a bad name.
but it's the stats on it that I had a problem with. The
Dude, it wasn't the stats. The level
oh
6 on the Great Mothers
was
was absolutely oppressive.
was the level 6 unique to that datacron, or was it something you could like re-roll
No,
into?
I'm telling you right now, it didn't matter what your secondaries were. That level 6 made the
Yeah.
Great Mothers ridiculous.
So, but the level 6, could I, if I had Night Sisters, could I have rolled that same level 6, or was it only on the Great Mother's Cron that it was available?
See, that I don't know. I don't know if you could have rolled that, but I know for Great Mothers, no, no. Hold on. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through
That
that.
level 6 was for the Great Mothers exclusively. Somebody in chat correct me on that, but I want to say that level 6 for the Great Mothers for that Kron was exclusive to her.
And see, that's the kind of stuff that I don't like. I'm perfectly
I
okay if you
don't,
want to
I,
give them a good level 9.
and it's crazy that people hear me say this, but I agree. I don't like it either. I don't think that shit like I don't feel like people should open up the bankroll to get and I don't know. It's they're gonna get an advantage. It is what it is. But
Yeah, like it's all about, hey, you're gonna pay the money, you deserve an advantage. But I definitely see where those datacrons make everybody else pissed off, because it was obscene. Like it was the difference between winning and losing in almost every single Grand Arena I fought. And I think even more so because it was tied to their marquee event. So even if you were able to somehow obtain Great Mothers in the time period that Datacron was active, you missed out.
the thing is that Great Mother's team required a specific counter, and it was just so ridiculously oppressive. Like if you didn't beat it, your GAC was toast. Like
Mm-hmm.
you were not like if you didn't get through it, you were done.
And have you
And we
noticed?
went through 4 months of that.
Have you kind of noticed with Datacrons that it seems like recently they've been kind of with some of these, like I'm thinking of the Fulcrum Cron and the GL Ahsoka Cron, that it's almost like they're providing a counter to the premier Datacron of that cycle being Commander Tano, or not Commander Tano, GL Ahsoka. There's kind of a Datacron to counter her. Have you noticed that at all? Because I felt like with Great Mothers, that's kind of what Plo-Cron did, that he kind of helped counter that team. Does that am I just completely off the mark there, or have you kind of noticed that a little bit yourself, where it seems like there's counters that are prevalent inside of the new set?
I will say when it comes to Datacrons, I think CG has learned a very valuable lesson from the dodge meta. Because if anybody worth their salt that has played this game that dealt with the Lord Vader dodge meta knows you don't ever want to see that again. I think CG has learned a couple of things. I think they've learned that the level threes and the level sixes is where they want to make their money because that is where they want players to spend resources to reroll to get the level three or the level sixes that they want. Which is why I've noticed since the dodge meta that they've kept the secondary stats rather generic. They're armor pen, offense, defense, tenacity, potency. It's very generic shit. It's just kind of run of the mill. What you need to be focusing on is the level threes and the six, and depending on your shopping list, what you want your level nines to be. And then from there, you go on and kind of readjust your secondaries. But I
Yeah, that
think I think CG has kind of changed course from the secondary stat meta to how can we get people to spend on the second, on the third, the six, and the nine. That's where they want people to spend. It's not so much on the secondaries. It's on the abilities.
yes. I remember back at that dodge meta. I mean, it was one of my favorite moments in Galaxy of Heroes watching all these assholes who had Lord Vader had the stupid dodge because the other side of that as well with Datacrons again, it's all random. So if you're a free to play and you lucked into getting dodge every single roll, you had a massive advantage for 4 months. And then what happened is once that Datacron disappeared, your GAC rank dropped faster than Joy Taylor's getting dropped by Fox once all this allegations comes out. Like it's crazy. I had to bring it in.
I don't, man, I don't fucking CG. It's weird. Like it.
Like I was thinking back to like those like think of the Great Mother's Cron. If you wailed on Great Mothers and you're not a old man Logan account size, once that goes away, you've got a good team. But they're not going to generate the holds that they were before. So now you're going to be up against people who you should be able to beat because you had that Great Mother's Cron. Right?
And no, and I agree. That's the thing. That Great Mother's Cron was so oppressive. It was just absolutely ridiculous. That Cron was out of control. It was not.
But even
Jesus
like
Christ. I did not like facing it. I didn't like dealing with it. It was a pain in the ass.
but even like this Fulcrum Cron, it's kind of the same thing, except it's actually bugged because it shouldn't be triggering the enemy's bonus turns. But like this is another Datacron example where it's just so utterly uh devastating to go up against that if you don't have the right counter, you're just gonna lose. Like, is this one that you're not as concerned with, or like for me, I'm looking at it like if I had like 8 million GP and I've got the Fulcrum Cron and you don't, like that's an automatic. That's almost an automatic win.
How are people dealing with GL Ahsoka in this match?
I depends on. So I've done it without Leia, or I've done it. I should say, I've done it with Leia without Fulcrum. I used the 2%. like basically like rush to ultimate, and then you just make sure that when you hit ultimate, somebody on the enemy team is ambushed, so then you can revive everyone. But it's not a pleasant experience. Otherwise, I'm just using Jedi Master Kenobi with Fulcrum and taking advantage of General Kenobi taunting.
I feel like from what I've seen, Leia takes it out in 3v3, but 5v5 is going to be a completely different fucking animal.
If you don't have a taunting tank, that Fulcrum Cron is a problem.
I could see that.
Because she'll just, again, I mean, it's the AI, so the AI might spread the damage around, but like, if the enemy team doesn't have a tank, I can just snipe her out immediately, and then I can press auto.
I could see that. All right, my friend, I've got to call it a night. It
Nope.
is getting late, and I'm literally sick as fuck. I need to get some sleep. Um,
No.
I want to thank you for having me on to talk Datacrons and all that absolute outstanding jazz. I don't get to talk about this much on my show because Bob fucking hates them.
Maybe I gotta make this a regular, like, every new set bring you on and teach us what we should be building.
Dude, you know what? You want to make it a new thing? I will do my homework on the next set and I will come on and do Datacron shit. Every new set.
I'd actually be,
Consider it done.
I'd be honored. So we'll schedule it. We'll call it a date on, I guess, February the like whenever the next set comes out. Probably Valentine's Day. That'll be real weird.
Sounds like a plan, my friend. Hey, I really do appreciate you having me on. Again, for all of you that don't know, every Thursday night, Scoundrels in a Cantina. I don't know if I'm gonna be there tomorrow. I'm deathly ill. I've had some drinks. I'm a little drunk. I'm gonna go to bed and sleep it off. We'll see what happens. But I sound like shit. This is not how I generally sound. But I really appreciate Fat Phil asking me to come on and shoot the shit with him. It was absolutely outstanding. Listen to his show, listen to my show. It's like I love this community, so I appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me on immensely.
Absolutely, my man. Guys, we will be linking Scoundrels in both this video and the prior one to make sure that they get some love. Go check them out. It's a great show. That's the end of this video. I love you all. May the force be with you, and we will see you in the next one. Logan, send it out, my friend.
Peace, everybody. Have a good night. Going to get some sleep. Woo!